Is this the end of easy residency in Paraguay? Today I wanted to fill you in on one of the upcoming immigration changes that we are about to see right here in Paraguay, and how you can take advantage of one of the fastest, easiest, and best second residency permits in the entire world. Paraguay has long been associated with the easiest residency permit, not just in South America, but across the globe. It is one of the rare gems, one of the very rare residency permits that you can obtain without proving economic solvency. But this is about to change. Governments are testing the waters all the time. Before temporary residency without economic solvency proof was in place in Paraguay, there was the option to obtain permanent residency by bank deposit. That past option is gone. It's long gone, but it was in place for several years until they changed the system and until the government implemented changes to try something different, to see if the current path that we're on with temporary residency without economic solvency would create a higher retention rate of immigrants to Paraguay. The easiest and fastest option was the bank deposit option, but that option was discontinued. I think it was discontinued because many people came here, deposited 5K into a bank account, but never really came back, or they just didn't invest in Paraguay. They didn't really attach themselves to Paraguay. Governments want foreign investment. They want your involvement. They want you to come here, spend money, invest in the economy, and make the country a better place. This is an undeniable fact. So given the past immigration policies that Paraguay had in place, we can see that these visa policies don't stay in place forever. They do change. And when they change, the changes are usually temporary. I'm often being asked by clients if it is too late to apply for Paraguayan residency. And sometimes I'm even being informed about one of the past residency programs, not just in Paraguay, but across Latin America. And I usually tell them it's never too late. It's probably going to get harder, not easier. I want you to let this sink in for a moment. The temporary residency option that Paraguay offers you right here, right now, is limited. It is time sensitive and it is not going to stay in place forever. This is super important for you to know, because if you come back to this video or channel a year or 2 years later and you realize that what I said was actually true, you might be biting yourself in the hiney. Governments are testing these programs to see how much of a commitment they can get out of you. And in the current case, with Paraguay's temporary residency by clean criminal record proof, you can come here pretty much without the need to prove economic solvency. This is a very rare program that doesn't really exist in a lot of countries worldwide. In fact, most countries would want some commitment from you before the government issues you a residency permit. So this value proposition of Paraguay's is a very unique one. It is a highly valuable residency program that is going away very soon. I'm very sure about that because immigration numbers are up. There are more immigrants arriving in Paraguay this year. I mean, if we just take a look during the first 2 quarters of this year, more immigrants arrived in Paraguay than during the first 2 quarters of 2024. This is a fact. And because of that, the government will eventually have to step in and do something about it, because yes, they want foreign investors to come in. Yes, they want you to invest here. They want you to get involved in this economy. But at the same time, what they don't want is just people who want a backup plan. Now, a lot of you guys are looking for a backup plan, and that's why you chose Paraguay. It's easy. You don't have to invest money. You can come here 1 day per year. And after 2 years of temporary residency, you can convert to permanent residency, which does require some kind of proof of economic solvency, right? If you convert from temporary to permanent residency, you do have to prove that you are employed, that you have some mean to support yourself, right? You need to have the means to support yourself, and you can prove that by showing a tax return or bank statements, right? So you have these options to convert to permanent residency. But now with what we're seeing, because a lot of people are coming here, they're obtaining temporary residency and they're not really thinking about the future too much because they want to have a backup plan. Things are not looking too good in the northern hemisphere of our planet. We have multiple ongoing hot wars in Europe, the Middle East, potentially soon in Asia. So a lot of people are looking to get out of their native countries. And Paraguay offers one of the easiest but also safest gateways to refugees. I personally don't think that this program is going to be around for much longer. I know I said this already months ago, and I was actually surprised that they decided, meaning the government, to continue this program for another year because, in my opinion, like Paraguay is one of the best deals out there. Unlike other countries in the Eastern Hemisphere, Paraguay comes with a distinct set of advantages, including full reciprocity in civil and property rights. As a legal permanent resident of Paraguay, you can own firearms. As a legal resident, be it temporary resident or permanent resident, you can also own land here in Paraguay. You can own land on temporary residency and you can also own land on permanent residency. So it doesn't really change. Plus, you can own local companies with residency without the need of having a local partner tied to your company. If you look at the sweet value proposition of Paraguay, you quickly realize that there aren't a whole lot of countries in the emerging world that offer this much value for this low of a barrier of entry. So more people caught on to this fact and realized that it actually makes a lot more sense for me to establish myself in Paraguay than in Southeast Asia or even certain parts of Africa. Southeast Asia has a prolonged problem with handing civil and property rights to foreigners. It's not important where you're from, doesn't matter if you're North American, European, Latin American, African, Australian, or even from a different Asian country, you may not be able to get permanent residency. And in most cases you can't. It's impossible. And you can also never own land in many countries in Asia. Neither can you own firearms. It's highly restricted. You're never gonna have a firearm in your hands. Neither can you own companies yourself, right? So there are some exceptions, right? For instance, Malaysia makes it easier. If you're a foreigner in Malaysia and you have a legal visa, oftentimes you need a residency permit to own a company, then you can do that. You can also legally own land in Malaysia if you have a residency permit and you qualify for the Malaysia My Second Home program. But there's a minimum investment. So you can't just own any piece of land. It needs to be a house and it must be of a minimum value, right? There's a minimum investment amount. In Paraguay, that's not the case. You can own land for as little as $2,000 if you want to, or you can also invest as much as $10 million. A country like Thailand makes foreign company ownership very difficult. Only Americans are allowed to own companies in Thailand. If you're Canadian, European, British, Australian, or a Kiwi, you cannot own a local company in Thailand yourself. You can own a good part of it, but you still must have a local partner, meaning a Thai citizen, tied to your company. Or you can't start or operate one. Same thing in Vietnam. I recently had a friend who decided to close down his Vietnamese company. He obtained residency by company formation in Vietnam. Now, incorporating the business was relatively easy. He was granted just 2 years of residency. And here's the problem. It was just a temporary residency permit. Now he wants to close the company because he figured out that Asia is no longer his future. In this case, Vietnam is no longer his future. So he ended up closing the company, which cost him thousands and thousands of dollars. And it was a very tedious process. And I think he's still working on it. Now, in Paraguay's case, it's going to be much easier, a lot less expensive to close a company than in Vietnam. So you see, Paraguay has this sweet value proposition that more and more people found attractive. And so it became not just a plan B, but a plan A to many people. Now, today in Paraguay, you can obtain permanent residency by investment. You have to invest at least 70,000 United States dollars into a local Paraguayan corporation and employ at least 5 people to qualify for permanent residency by investment. Sometimes companies don't talk about the real requirements for you to obtain residency by investment in Paraguay. employing 5 people is a big responsibility, and you cannot have a dormant business. You can't just put $70,000 into a residential property and let it sit there. No, the money must be actively put at risk, and you must employ people, right? And you cannot close the company either. So this is very important, and like I said, oftentimes companies in our industry, they don't really address the full facts. They don't really disclose the full requirements. But like I said, temporary residency in Paraguay can be obtained without you proving economic solvency. Every year Paraguay is getting thousands and thousands and thousands of immigrants from Argentina and Brazil. These 2 countries are the 2 most frequent choosers of Paraguay. We saw a very similar situation play out in Panama, a country that also offered a residency by bank deposit, which already happened many years ago. Then the requirements changed and it made it a lot more harder. Now, the easiest path to residency in Panama is residency by company formation, which offers citizens of friendly nations visa countries to obtain residency by the simple incorporation of a Panamanian company. Now, there are requirements in Panama as well. You have to incorporate the business. It cannot be dormant. There's accounting to do, annual tax returns, right? The business must show a turnover. You must pay yourself a salary. You must pay payroll taxes and income taxes to the government. That's what the Panamanian government wants. So you see, the requirements were easier in Panama 10 years ago than they are today. And the same is also true in Paraguay's case. And I think what we are going to see potentially next year is residency by economic solvency in Paraguay. Paraguay's value proposition is still strong despite of the potential upcoming changes I'm talking about. The tax system is not going away, at least I don't think so. Paraguay does not tax your foreign sourced income. You pay 0% tax on foreign sourced income in Paraguay. Locally sourced income is taxed anywhere from 0 to 10% for residents and up to 15% for non-residents. Paraguay does not have an inheritance tax. So great, if you pass on a property to someone, let's say that's a child, in the event that you pass or somebody else passes and they pass it on to you, you're not going to pay any inheritance taxes on that income, right, that you get. If you have a corporation that trades within the Mercosur region, the countries that are full members, like Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, then you may qualify for a 1% corporate tax rate. So technically, this is a tax haven here, right? 0 to 1% is definitely tax haven status. And a lot of people don't realize how powerful Paraguay's tax proposition truly is. And there are a lot of business opportunities in Paraguay, and you don't have to rely on working a local job to support yourself. I think Paraguay, if you come to Paraguay, you want to become an entrepreneur. Or if you are an entrepreneur, start a new business here and capitalize on the low local taxes. Personal income taxes are capped at 10%. However, you can deduct pretty much anything you want from your taxable income. Whether you go to the car dealership to buy a car, pay for rent, dining out, groceries, electronic items, beauty services, vacations, pet supplies, whatever it may be, you can deduct everything and anything from your taxable income in Paraguay. So let's say you have an income of $50,000 annually and you spend $48,000 of that income on yourself, right, on your living expenses, who knows on what, then $2,000 of that money would be taxable, right? Because that's the money you have left over. And the Paraguayan government would apply a 10% tax rate or a maximum of a 10% tax rate on those $2,000. Now, if you have an income of $30,000 and say you only spend 15, then the 15,000 that you spend, you're not going to have to pay taxes on that money, but the other 15,000 would be taxable. And again, it would be a maximum of 10%. This is a very conducive country. It is kind of like Bulgaria in terms of personal income taxes, but it's even better because you don't pay income taxes on foreign sourced income. You just cannot bring the money into the country. But if you have the money overseas and it's sitting in foreign bank accounts, then obviously you would not have to pay taxes on that income as a legal resident of Paraguay. But as soon as you bring the money in, then it's within Paraguay's territory and you would have to pay income taxes on that money in Paraguay. There are so many benefits to Paraguay's residency program that I think the government will soon be stepping in to put this to an end and introduce something that is a little bit more contingent on you contributing to the economy. Now, while this may not hold true to you, if you are an immigrant in Paraguay, you working a local job, you're running a business here, you're investing in this market. Obviously, you have economic ties to the country, and obviously you are paying taxes, right? If you have a local tax number, then you are paying taxes here. But there are people who just end up getting the Plan B, and that's perfectly fine as well. They have it as a backup option because at some point in the future, be it next year, be it in 2029, or even in the mid-30s, they have plans for coming to Paraguay and making Paraguay their main base. So having the Plan B is just a fantastic option. And like I said, before the 2 years are up, you can convert to permanent residency, which is valid for 10 years and renewable. Now, if you're interested in obtaining temporary residency in Paraguay with the help of Nomad Elite, I want you to consider our Paraguay Residency July 2025 specials. We're offering significant discounts on our packages this month. The promo expires on July 31st, 2025, but you can save up to $1,000 on our select packages this month. We offer 3 distinct packages. Our Plan B package is perfect for Plan B seekers. So if you're interested in obtaining residency here, but don't know how much time you're going to be spending in Paraguay, but you still want to get one foot in the door, you are a family, you want to get one person into the system, perhaps you are a retiree and you want to have Paraguay as an option, then the Plan B package is perfect. It includes all government, legal, and administrative fees, all processes, all translations, all support that you need locally with appointments, filling in documents, and submitting your residency application. You can purchase our Plan B package for just $2,200 United States dollars this month. You save $550. Our Relocate T package is perfect for you if you know you're going to be living in Paraguay or you're going to be spending at least a few months per year here. Our Relocate T package is built on a Plan B, so you get all features that are part of our Plan B package. Plus, we help you with your cedula, your driver's license, your tax number, bank account opening. You also get access to our Paraguay introduction training. It includes all government, legal, and administrative fees for all the services I just mentioned. You get full support, full hand-holding, and you also get time with me right here in Asunción, Paraguay. You can purchase our Relocate T package for just $2,950 this month. Again, this offer expires on July 31st, 2025. This month, the few days that we have left, you're going to save $1,000 on your Relocate T package. If you're interested in one of these packages, please book a consultation with me today. Go to nomadelite.com and click on book a consultation. If you're ready to sign up, you can also email us and we get you started immediately. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your attendance and I look forward to welcoming you to Paraguay.